Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the REDX podcast. I'm Tyler Fenn, and I'm here with David Frost. We are going to talk about some awesome stuff today. I'm very excited. Thank you to all of you who are joining us from around North America. We're glad that you're with us. And today on this historic day is I'm glad to be talking with somebody who's spent time serving our country. David, that's right.
Yes,
and,
sir.
So thank you. Welcome, and thank you for being with us today.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Look forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Now, we've got live listeners. They're on Facebook, they're on YouTube, they're on our website. So as they comment questions in, those are all going to come to me. David, I'll relay those questions to you, and you can take us to school here and give us some expertise and knowledge and experience and share that, and we'll teach people some things today, which is super awesome.
All right.
I want to start, David, by having you introduce yourself to the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And I had so much fun, even just in the 10 minutes pre-show as we were talking. I'm really excited for the next 45 minutes. But tell everybody a little bit who you are, and then I'm going to jump in and make you tell us a little bit more, and we'll go into some good stuff from there.
Absolutely. So I'm David Frost. I've been in real estate about 7 years. This is my 7th year. I have a small team here in Jacksonville, North Carolina, which is Marine country. All Marines are here, or some Navy and some Army, but ultimately it's the Marine area. The Marines kind of have their base here, Camp Lejeune and MARSOC. So our market is military. So a lot of VA buyers and big transitions. So, they're here 2, 3, 4 years. They're, coming in and out. So it's big transitional market. So haven't been in real estate that long. I've sold a lot of houses, done pretty well. Pretty lucky there. A lot of it's coming from prospecting and working expireds and FSBOs. And my team, I have a small team. I have 3 other agents on my team. 2 of them are really new, but they're outstanding. I can't say enough about them. They'll probably close almost $3 million each. That's a lot of volume here. Our volume isn't like a California volume, but ultimately we sell a lot of homes. So, but they do a lot of prospecting and calling. So
Awesome.
They're doing really well. So yeah. And then my background is law enforcement. I was in the Army for a long time, and I was a CID agent. So it's kind of like the NCIS TV show, just not as exciting. So, but I did, it's way more exciting on TV. But, I've done all the felony crimes for the Army. So I've done bank robberies. I've had murders. Unfortunately, we've had, I did the war crimes against Saddam Hussein, 03, 04. I was deployed in the initial war in Iraq, and I was with a bunch of agents. That's all we did with mass graves and, soldiers getting blown up. We did those. And I did the Jessica Lynch case. So if you got any older than you, Tyler, you're a young guy. So, you probably don't remember, but Jessica Lynch case was a case I personally was involved with, where I collected evidence and did a lot of that stuff. So I'm pretty proud of that one. And my group, we were all awarded Bronze Stars. So we're pretty proud of that as well. And of course,
Amazing.
September 11th, it fits. It's great.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Now, we talked pre-show about some of the skills that carried over into real estate.
Right.
And everybody's got a history, right? We've all done something before real estate, even if that's, whatever our high school job was, and then get into real estate right after high school. But I want to talk a little bit about that, about the discipline, about the skills that you learned in law enforcement, in military, and how that's helped you in your business. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So I think from the transitional standpoint, I think either way, if you're a really good real estate agent or a top agent, you could transition into law enforcement as well. I think, of course, you got to, shoot a weapon and do some other things that you don't as a real estate agent, but being able to talk to people is a big deal. And being a very a good cop or an effective cop or agent, you have to be able to talk to multiple people, or a lot of people, and with different backgrounds and demographics, and you have to be able to relate to them in order to get information you're looking for or help you. It solves cases. Most of the time, that's how you solve cases, is is you talk to somebody really, or somebody spills the beans or whatever you want to call it. But that's how you solve a lot of your cases. Of course, you got the DNA and all that stuff, but a lot of it comes from interviews and being able to talk to people. So being a law enforcement agent moving into real estate, like we had talked about earlier, is it's easy. It's very easy for me to talk to people on the phone and transition from different, objections or things like that. Because as a cop, I would have to talk about a lot of bad stuff. I'd worked a lot of sexual assaults. I've had to talk about uncomfortable, a lot of uncomfortable situations for people, victims and family members. So coming from a law enforcement real estate, it really is easy for me, and a lot of my team that I've had in the past have always said, or other agents, like, man, it's just easier for you to talk to people. But that comes from my law enforcement background. So, that's why scripts and things like that are very essential to people who aren't as easy, doesn't come from like a law enforcement background. You can transition quick and get through objections, but scripts and then role playing, that's a key to when you're talking, to expireds or FSBOs or whoever. Right.
Yeah. I think I love this. I love this connection that we made the pre-show as we were talking about this skill to have difficult conversations, right? That is a skill that people, for some people it's more innate and it comes more naturally, but for most of us, we have to teach ourselves how to have hard conversations, right? And that's in our personal relationships. It's in our business relationships. It's the relationship with the client. You've got to learn how to have those hard conversations. That light bulb went off for me, right? Wow. I mean, your background makes objections super easy because like you said, you had lots of uncomfortable conversations with people, and that carries over into real estate. Is being able to talk to people about their equity and the financial position that they're in, which is sometimes can be unnerving. That's amazing. I would imagine also that the discipline that comes from a military lifestyle carries over to a great schedule as an agent, right? Your time is probably time blocked and what your day looks like. Is that fair of me to make that guess?
Yes. I mean, for the most part, yeah, there's times where I get off track and do things I probably shouldn't and interrupt things. But ultimately, yes, I think that's what has, people always ask, what do you think has made you successful in a short amount of time? Because, my first year I sold 14 houses, and I call that like Stevie Wonder real estate. I was just kind of out there running around. I didn't know what I was doing. I just kind of came upon a buyer here and there. And then my second year I was at 48, sold, then 71. Okay. And then we just keep going, right? And so I'm very lucky. But I think what's made me successful is what you're talking about, Tyler, is discipline, is showing up every day, treating it like a job, right? And then implementing things every day that work so that you need to do, and just doing it, and don't get distracted by other things, and just trying to focus on doing that. And that's what I try to teach my team, even if I may get off doing something else based on my schedule is a little more hectic at times than some of my team members, but I've got them on a certain schedule that they do, and they're very effective in a short amount of time. That both of them are outstanding. So
let me ask you this and put you on the spot a little bit. Can we talk about what your schedule looks like?
Sure.
I know that REDX is a big part of that, and that makes me really happy.
Yes.
It makes your business really happy. But can we talk a little bit about what your schedule looks like? Because for a lot of agents, you're right, is to come in and do the things that I know I should be doing is important. But there's a lot of agents that sometimes just don't know what they don't know. And so sometimes they go, well, I know that there's a few things I should do, but that doesn't fill my day. So what are some of those other things that you use to continually generate business and keep your business growing? I mean, 14, 48, 71 in the first 3 years, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So how do other people do that?
Yeah. I mean, you really just got to have a lot of conversations. But as far as the schedule, like you're saying, is I keep it, I don't get too detailed with it in a sense of even with my team, because the more detailed, it's just harder to stick to. So I make it easy. So how we do it is the mornings are going to be our prospecting and generating business time, our mornings. So we're usually in by about 8:30 every morning.
Okay.
Right. And then all we focus in on is prospecting. So if that's going to be, when we say prospecting, we're counting expireds, for sale by owners, for rent by owners,
Okay.
And your SOI, and then follow up with your past leads from the day prior or
Gotcha.
2 days prior, right? You still want to follow up, and then, if you get a listing or you just sold the listing, you may throw in, depending on how many expireds you have, and I'll get into that a little bit in a minute, but you may throw in a just sold, just listed. So use the geo leads we use, which is phenomenal, right?
Yes.
And then we do that with the geo leads, and we add the slide broadcast in there. Sometimes we can get a bunch of, I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with slide broadcast. And you just can do it that way, or you just call them geo leads that way too, however you want to do it. But we try to incorporate that daily. Now, all of those we may not get to in the morning all the time, but our market has shifted here so much, and probably in a lot of markets, listings are harder to obtain right now. So you've got to look to do some creative things. So we don't have a lot of expireds anymore. About 2 years ago, we may have 15, 20 a day. Yeah. Now we're getting 3 or 4, 2 are land, or, or something that may not even, be something we're interested in. So you got to shift, and you got to say, okay, well, then if there's no expireds, doesn't mean I go home early or don't call. Let's work for rent by owners, because there's plenty in this market, because it's transitional, right? So that's how we do it.
Yeah. So let me jump in here, because so we refer to that at REDX. We call that your lead stack, right? When you look at, you mentioned 5 or 6 different lead types, right? That are great for generating business. Yes. How you organize those is what we call lead stack here at REDX. So you mentioned, look, we usually start with the expireds, but, and this is true in most markets right now, most people don't have a lot of expired listings.
Right.
So what's next? Like if there's no expireds, the lowest fruit on the tree, what's after that? You'd mentioned for rent by owners. Is for rent by owners kind of your go-to after expireds if you're done with the expireds for the day?
It would be for sale by owner.
For sale by owners.
Yeah, because the market now is moving listings so fast. Like, so that the one agent on my team listed a house in the morning yesterday, had 6 or 7 showings by mid-afternoon, and had 5 offers. Like, for this market, that you don't move that fast usually. I mean, you're moving fast, but so for us, the for sale by owners now, they're starting to pick up on it. Like, why do I need the Frost real estate team anymore? I'll just sell it on my own.
Right.
So there's a bunch more for sale by owners out there, which makes it a little more tougher to get them to hire you. But ultimately, we've got scripts, we've got role playing, we do objection handling, and we get through that. The one agent on my team, she hates for sale by owners in the sense of that's what she says, like dealing with, the objections, but she's listed like 5 out of, I think, 9 that she's been on appointments with. And I said, hold on, let's go over the numbers here. I mean, how you hate that? Like, okay, I guess I'll hate that too, right? So she does really well. She's just learning too, and she's only going to get better. But so for sale by owners will be our number 2. And then for rent by owners now is a big one, because the rental market is big here. It always will be.
Yeah.
So now we're just trying to convince them, hey, look, have you ever thought about selling? And here, I don't know if it's like that in every state. You could put it up for rent and for sale at the same time. And whatever happens first, you go with, right? So, and then they don't pay us unless we sell it. So, that's kind of our pitch and part of the script, but that's basically, short version.
So let me go back to FSBOs real quick before we jump into some of these other ones. Sure. Haley Johnson asked a question. She says, "What are you saying to the FSBOs to list with you?" And that question is a little bit broad. So I'm actually gonna, assuming Haley's okay with it, I'm gonna tighten down on this question a little bit. Oftentimes, in our research, the biggest objection is, I don't want to pay a commission, right? And I would imagine that there's still an element of that, but some of the feedback that I'm hearing now with the way the markets are, because your market, I don't think is totally unique, right? I mean, multiple offers on day one. That's our Utah market right here is crazy. And so are you running into situations with FSBOs where people are going, I'll list with an agent, I just want to see if I can sell it on my own? Is that one of the objections that you run into? They go, we'll just give it a try. If not, then I'll list with you.
Yeah, so we do hear that objection. And again, here's what I always, and I'll get back to right to that question, but here's what I always tell my agents trying to train on my team. There's really only like 3 or 4 real objections that you're always going to have to hear. You always will hear it. If you can just focus on getting good at objection handling with those, you'll be ready to go. 100% most of the time you can get through those. Just practice role playing on certain objections. One is commission. I don't want to pay a commission. So if you can figure out ways to get through that, then you're going to be way more effective in the long run, right? And really, it's one of the main ones for FSBOs all the time. But yes, we do hear that objection you brought up, Tyler. The FSBO process that I have is this. Most agents will call you and say, "Hey, Tyler, this is David Frost, the Frost Real Estate Team. I'm calling at your house about your house at 123 Smith Street. Is that still for sale? Hey, do you want to hire an agent? You want to hire me? You want me to list it?" No, we don't even go into trying to list the property. In our script, there's nothing about listing it. It's about getting the appointment. Once we get the appointment, then you have to establish the rapport with that seller at the house. Right. And that takes some good training and going over that a lot and a lot of appointments. But once you get there, that's when you establish the rapport with the seller. And then usually right before I leave, if everything works out like I wanted to, great. Then I'll ask them, "Hey, Tyler, have you thought about listing your property at all?" And you may say, "No, I want to give it a try," or I want to make, more money. I would always come back with say, "Okay, if I can make you about the same amount of money or more, if we list it and then you can sell it quicker, would that even interest you?" Every time it's a yes. They're always going to say, "That would interest me. I don't know if I'd list with you." No, I didn't say you'd list with me, but if I can show you that I can make you about the same amount or more, would you give me an opportunity? And usually we list them.
So essentially what you're doing is you're having the money discussion, but you're not talking about your commission, right? Which is usually where the money discussion is. Well, how much, what percentage do you charge? That's right. That's usually, so what you're saying is, look, let's not focus on that. Let's focus on bottom line.
That's it.
How much money are you going to net, whether it's FSBO or with an agent? How much are you going to net? And that's what you're focusing on with these people.
Yes. And time. So, and time on market, right? So, and while I'm at the house, I'm never discussing listing it. Now, once you start doing it more and getting real good at it, a lot of FSBOs, probably not for a while because some of them are selling now, but I mean, in general, they'll eventually say, "You know what? I'm glad you called me. I've been thinking about listing. How much would you list my house for?" I still won't go through that over the phone because you don't want to give all your good stuff over the phone and then they never meet you. And then you'll see another agent list it. You did all the comps and all the fun, all the hard stuff. And here you go. This is what we could do. We could do an allowance. We could do. And then before you know it, you're like, "Wait a minute. They just listed with Johnny over here. What the heck, man?" So never give that stuff, your goods, I say, over the phone. Do it in person. And, if they are looking to list, when you call them, then say, "Great, I didn't call you to list it, but I'm always interested in listing. I think you got a great home. Why don't we schedule that I come over today at 5 or tomorrow at 6? And then we can get into that and some other things. How's that?" And then that's how we do it.
Awesome. Okay. So we just had another question come in from Amanda Smith. Thank you, Amanda. Amanda's one of our loyal listeners. She's on here every podcast.
Oh, nice.
And then Vivian Gates asked, she says, that's my question as well. So 2 people want the answer to this. Right. How do you handle the situation where the FSBO's listed the house for sale, but then tells the agents that they aren't really ready due to repairs on the house, or I guess there could be a million reasons why they're not really ready. In other words, some people put their home on the market to test the waters, even though they're not quite ready. How do you handle a situation like that?
Well, when I meet with them, obviously, so if we don't know what we don't know from the question, but just say if it's repairs, what I would do is still try to get the appointment, get the rapport building with them, and get them to trust you no matter what. Now, I'm going to give you a story in a minute, so I don't forget. I'm old, so you got to remind me if I forget, Todd. But I'm going to give you a story of a FSBO that never listed with me, right? Okay. So it's just say it needs, it's outdated or it needs repairs. What I would do is go in there and, of course, I would assess it internally. I'm assessing as I'm walking through. I might not say, oh, whoa, this is rough, but internally I know it is. And that's probably maybe what's keeping them. So I'll sit them down and say, hey, look, what's keeping you from listing? Oh, they may say what you said. We're just testing the waters. We got a lot of work to do. We still want to do this and we still want to do that before we maybe give it to an agent to list. Then I would come up with, why don't we do this? Why don't we try to list it and just provide an allowance for the new buyers? And a lot of new buyers, at least in my market here, they love allowances because now they get to pick paint color. They get to pick, whatever they want. They buy new TVs, whatever it may be. So on a VA buyer, you can get allowances and use it for whatever you want, really.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it works well here. So if it's repairs and things like that, I would say use allowances if you can. And if it's not that bad, or if it's like paint colors or something, I would just tell them, listen, you're going to hire me to get through those objections from potential buyers and buyers agents. If they're not going to pick your house for paint colors or, countertops, they probably don't really love your house anyways, but let me work to get it sold for you. I'll get through those things. Let me try to help you get through that. It's going to be a lot easier for me and my team to do it than it will be you going against me or another agent. Right. In the same conversations. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I love that objection, right? Because people are going, well, I'm not ready because maybe there's some repairs. Like you said, we need to repaint over these terrible colors or whatever.
Right.
And I love that. You go, let's not worry about that. Let's let them worry about that.
Right.
And you let me worry about it. Right.
Yep.
Let me as the agent handle that for you. And that's the value that I bring to this relationship here. I love that.
Yep.
And I love the idea of allowances, right? I mean, leverage that to say, look, let's throw $4,000 in there for a paint allowance and they can go through and paint whatever they want.
Or we use it for whatever. And it works tremendously here. We have a lot of listings that need some updates. And when we talk to the sellers, they're stressed. Sellers are like, oh, I got to do this. I don't have the money. Don't worry about that. Let us worry about that. We're a full, our team is a full concierge type team. We have contractors that will go over there the same day. We have lawn care. We have cleaners. Like, we'll take care of everything you need. Just let us take care of that. You just relax. We got it. So it works really well with our team. And we do that. We take care of our clients just like that. The story I want to get back to is a FSBO. So I went to a FSBO years ago, and I had great rapport with her. She never listed the property with me. So, obviously that's what I wanted, but she never listed with me. But she has referred me 2 different sellers based on the trust that she thought, that we had together. I answered all her questions. There were some documents. She was trying to sell the whole house on her own. And I said, listen, do you have these documents? I don't have those. I'm going to help you fill them out. Right. That's how you get the second appointment, by the way, if they're not going to list with you on the first one. You ask if they have the proper documents. Most times they do not. So I say, listen, what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to the office. I'm going to print those out. Let me come back tomorrow. Let's fill them out together. So you're taken care of. It has nothing to do with me listing your property, but this stuff can get you in some trouble. Buyers nowadays, they want to see these documents. It's required. And I'll help you fill them out. You have them. You're ready. And if you got any questions, I'm there to help you. That in itself, for me, if I was a seller, I'd be like, I'm hiring that person. They're doing it for free, right? And that always works. The sellers love that. So remember, you're their subject matter expert. And if they're not always thinking they're just a number to you, that you do care, because we do care, then it's going to get you along, more in the long run. Just like this FSBO referred me to 2 different sellers. And she's never listed with me, but she still hasn't sold her house. So she hasn't listed with anybody either. That's good. I pay attention. Yeah.
In terms of stories about the one that got away, right? That's kind of a best case scenario. At least, At least she's sending you business otherwise. That's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. As long as she hasn't listed with somebody, but yeah, knock on wood, maybe, hopefully.
Now you mentioned in your market a lot of people, and this makes sense, right? If there's a lot of military base where there's maybe sudden transition for people, it makes sense that some people go, well, I'll put it up for sale and for rent, whichever one takes first. That's what we go with.
Yep.
How do you handle those types of situations when you're working the for rent by owners? Does your team do rental work as well, or your goal is still to list the property?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And again, from our standpoint, because the market here has shifted so much that homes now, basically our time on market is less than 30 days. It's not been that way, for years. When I first came in and started using REDX, I would get an expired. I mean, I'd have a bunch of expireds to call, and I would list them. It'd take me 5 months to sell them. So that's why there are so many expireds. But now homes are selling so fast, and that's what we try to tell the owner. Listen, put it up for rent and then put it up for sale with us. It's probably going to be almost at the same time for one or the other. And, for us, though, you're going to make a profit, versus you're going to make a small profit every month. And it only takes an AC unit or a roof that, we get hurricanes here. One hurricane come through and damage your roof. You've lost all that little bit of profit you made in a year versus let's get it sold. You make a bunch of profit. You're done with it. Right. So that's how we kind of talk through that.
Now in those situations, rental is kind of plan B, I would imagine, for most of them, right? They go, I want to sell it, but if I can't, then we'll rent it.
Right.
Which means when you come in, that conversation is they're more excited about getting it sold than they are about getting it rented. Is that a fair assessment?
Some are, and then some still are not. They believe the market's still from years ago.
Gotcha.
Oh man, the market's not good. I heard. No, that's not true. Then we start telling them, no, it's not true. Here's the difference. And, when we start breaking that stuff down, a lot of them are like, whoa. And some of my team members, I mean, they listed houses that were, for rentals for years, for rent by owners. So, that we do pretty well there. But there are some people that just want to keep it, and rent it. They've done well. They don't owe much left on it, so they just want to keep it. And some are going to come back here as military members. They know they're going to be back here at one point or another. So they just want to keep it. But ultimately a lot of them want to at least test the waters, put on the market, see what happens. And what I always tell them too is you don't have to pay us up front, right? We're putting them, and guess what? You're getting double marketing. You're getting the rental marketing and you're getting the sales marketing. And then I tell them, how many rental calls I get, which are a lot on my sign calls. Is this for rent? So think about it. If they call me on a sale, I'm going to try to get them to buy it. But if they don't buy it, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to send them to your rental company to rent your property.
Yeah.
Right? Ultimately, I want to take care of you as the owner either way. So it's the truth. And again, for them, it's really a win-win if you really break it down to them like that.
Gotcha.
That makes sense.
And we just had another question come in from Grant Caldwell Holmes. So thank you, Grant.
Oh, okay.
He asked this question. He says, David, I'm looking at either Mojo or REDX as a prospecting platform. Can you discuss why I should go with REDX? So I love this conversation. It's a fantastic question. Let's talk about why REDX. So
sure.
Yeah, tell me why REDX. What does REDX do for your business, David? I mean, we've talked about your morning prospecting, and we're still talking about your morning, right? We haven't even gotten to afternoon schedule yet.
Right. Afternoon is boring, but yeah.
Prospecting is the fun part, Grant.
Yeah, exactly. It is because it's generating, leads for your business. It's working, to get more business. So REDX is basically streamlined our business. What I try to do, what I've learned with having a team, I've had a team since 2015. So, and I've been through a lot of systems and a lot of money spent. REDX simplifies the systems you need to use. Meaning, we come in, we open up REDX, we open up our CRM, and we open up our MLS. Right.
Right.
Some teams will have 10 systems, and then you're just overcomplicated, and then you get to where you're not using the systems like they should or can be used effectively. So REDX takes all that away. We have everything in there we need. We have the geo leads, so we can do our just listed, just sold. Those are excellent, right? Or another piece that we haven't even talked about, and I don't know if we have enough time, but wholesaling. So
Right.
we don't do wholesale business, but we do drive for dollars. It's called now, or not now, but wholesalers do that. Drive around neighborhoods, look for vacant properties that look, overgrown lawns. So we do that in our afternoon schedule. And then we'll geo lead them and then give us the numbers for those to try to get listings. Hey, this thing's falling apart, man. Because I have a few investors. I'll say, I've got investors, pay cash, be done 2 weeks, or let's try to get this thing listed and bring investors in. So geo leads works well for that type stuff. Just listed, just sold. You got all the for rent by owners there. You got the for sale by owners. You got the expireds. And that's what we use REDX for. So for me and my team, it makes it easy. We open it up. We work right from there. And then the other systems are CRM for our SOI calls. And the other calls are all right there. And then you do everything within the system. You set your callback dates, your appointments and reminders in REDX. I mean, it's excellent. It's very easy to use. I've never used Mojo, but I've used some other ones, and REDX, way better bang for your buck. It makes everything great, and the info is great. So the numbers are great. So we can't complain. There's no complaining.
So David, I'm hiring in my sales department. So if real estate doesn't work out,
I'm there.
give me a buzz, okay?
Yeah, I mean, REDX has been great. I mean, not just because I'm on the podcast, it's because of the truth. I would not invest my money or have my team using it if I didn't think it would be effective.
Awesome.
So absolutely effective.
We did have a question come, a couple of them. Haley asked this question, and then Grant asked another one. She says, what activities or lead types do you do that give you the best ROI? So you mentioned a few different money-making activities that you use REDX for.
Yep.
Which ones are your go-to? Like, if you had to just pick one to make money and go with, which one would it be?
Out of just like the prospect, like the FSBOs expire, or just in general in real estate?
With the REDX leads that I'm assuming that the question is regarding the lead types. She says activities or lead types.
I would say for sale by owners.
Okay.
Number one, they're all the right numbers for sure, for the most part, unless they don't want to sell their house, but their numbers, we're always going to get the right number. So now you're calling a number that is going to be the owner, right? Versus, and that's another thing with REDX, which is great. We get like 10 numbers sometimes, right? I mean, it's great, but some of them numbers are just older ones or whatever. And it may be the fifth number in and it's the right one. Right. But ultimately, I'd rather have 100 numbers than just one, and that doesn't work, right? But for sale by owners, you get the number. That's number one, right? And number two, generally we can get those appointments. And my team has done really well with getting those appointments because they want to sell it. And again, we're not trying to get the listing and get confrontational with them and talk about price. We're just trying to get to the house. And how we get there, I didn't think I mentioned this, is I don't ever say, a lot of agents try to say, I have a buyer interested. And really, we can't do that. We're not allowed to mislead public. So I never will say that. I will always say, listen, which is the truth. Generally, I have buyers interested or buyers in your price point. And I like to look at all the for sale by owners because listings are shorter these days. And if I can't find something on the MLS, I have a list of for sale by owners that my team and I will then say, hey, this for sale by owner fits what you need. And I'll bring them to your property. And we'll work out the other details later, which is the commission and stuff, which I don't even use the word. We'll work out all the other details later. But ultimately, that's what I want to preview for sale by owners for, to have the list in the event I can't find something for my buyers in MLS. It is not that I have a buyer right now and then I show up and say, oh, they didn't show up with me. Agents do that, but we shouldn't do that. Right? Yeah. So,
I mean, and we could go down another rabbit hole with this if we wanted to. Yeah. I think that candid, true communication is what resonates with people. Like, people have a BSO meter, right?
Yeah.
And they can generally read that. And so I do like that phrasing though. Look, generally I've got buyers in your price point. And then given the current market conditions, there's not as many listings in the MLS that we would like to see, You know, we
Right.
want more listings. We need more. So let me go back. So Grant asked a question because you'd mentioned while you were talking about REDX how you use your CRM. What CRM is your team using?
We're a Lion Desk CRM.
Lion Desk. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then another question from Amanda. She says, "Can you discuss your nurturing campaigns, the system structure, et cetera?" So once you've got a lead and you've taken that person, you put them into your CRM, and you're managing that relationship from there. What does that nurturing look like? How do you continue to maintain that relationship with somebody who isn't a client? Hopefully they will be. And then afterwards, then we're going to maintain that relationship. What does that look like in your business?
As aggressive as you can be is what I say. And my team will tell you, it's better that you lose, in my opinion, lose business being more aggressive than being lackadaisy or way less aggressive, because then somebody's going to get the listing. Eventually, most likely, somebody's going to get it. They're going to list with an agent as a for sale by owner or something like that. I'm talking about for sale by owner or expired. So, you know, if you're always at top of the mind for that seller, and again, how I play it is I always put reminders in from the system, REDX. I will say, hey, call back. I'll set the callback reminder, you know, next Friday. Or for sale by owners, I always do the Monday, because I want them to potentially have the weekend, because they always think weekends, the buyers are going to come and blah, blah. So then the weekend goes by. If they haven't sold it, then I'd say, oh, what happened? You know, then I hit them up on Monday. And then Monday, it's like, did you have any buyers come through in the weekend? Oh, we had one, or, you know, so, but I am an aggressive follow-up. I will follow up with a lead from a listing standpoint just every week. Almost every week I will follow up. I will tell you that I picked up a couple like this, but one seller particularly said, I listed with you not because of your listing presentation. Okay. I said, okay, so I got to work on that. That's great. I picked you because you were aggressive. You followed up with me weekly. You text me, you call me and emailed me. You know what I did with this guy? And my admin said, are you really going to do that? I was talking to him for a good month. I mean, every week, at least twice a week. Yeah, I haven't made a decision yet. You know. So I went and got thank you cards, right, in my desk. And I just wrote, I'm ready to list when you are. Call me. And then I sent that one day, and I did 5 cards, and I sent him a card every day that week. And everybody thought, are you kidding? He's going to kill you. By the way, I'm like 5'2". I'm a really short guy. This guy, the seller, is 6'9". So when we're together, it's like, you know, but so, yeah, exactly. So he laughed at that. So I followed up with him like a Saturday, and all those went out throughout the week. And I followed up. I said, hey, did you get, you know, my cards? He said, I did. I've never had anybody ever do that to me, but that was pretty good. I like that. Like, he laughed. He liked it because I just wrote little sayings like, I'm ready to list when you are. What are we waiting, man? What are we waiting on, man? The market's ready. Like, just little sayings like that. And it worked. I got the listing. It's actually under contract now, and we should close on it in about a week.
Well, and
almost a $500,000 listing here, which is a big listing.
Well, and what's so fantastic, David, is when you know that's how you run your business, right? Be as aggressive as you can be. When you know that that's a rule that you live by in your business, it's easy for you to tell somebody, look, if I'm aggressive, if I'm this aggressive with you and you're not even my client yet,
right?
Imagine how hard I'm going to fight for you, right, when I sit down at the negotiation table.
Sure.
Right? I mean, there's a confidence that comes from knowing that I'm following up with these people. And I like what you said. It's better to lose a few people because you talk to them too much than lose more people because you didn't talk enough. Right.
Yeah. And I think what in the whole prospecting world, everybody, and this is for me, you know, I've taught a lot of lead gen class or prospecting class where I'd go speak at, you know, conventions and seminars. And a lot of the feedback is, I just feel like I'm bothering them. Right. Or, you know, and it's like, what everybody has to understand is, you know, when you're looking at expired or for sale by owner, they need help. They need your help as a real estate agent. Your mindset has to be, they need you to help them. So when I call somebody, if I'm calling Tyler, I don't think I'm bothering you. You may get aggravated because I may be the 10th agent or something, but
Right.
I will say, hey, that's good. Other agents are doing it. I'm trying to figure out how we can help you sell as quick as you want to sell and get to you where you need to be. I'm here to help you do that. How can I do that for you? So your mindset has to be, you're there to help them and they need you. They need your expertise, your marketing, you qualifying buyers coming through the FSBOs doors. It's amazing when you talk to FSBO and say, how do you know they're even qualified? Do you know if they're qualified when they're coming through the door? I've never even thought about that. Yeah. See, for us, we're not going to let anybody come through unless it's qualified. I mean, we don't want to waste your time. You've got dogs, you've got kids, you have to get out of the house every time. So when you start putting those things in FSBOs' minds, they start realizing, yeah, I probably do need to hire somebody like him or an agent or something, So those are the things you want to keep in your pocket to use, but it's the truth. So
I mean, those last few statements that you just made are seem like the underlying foundation for the way you run your business, right? Is I'm here to help. I'm here to do the job, and I'm here to do it the right way and assist you to whatever's next in your life. Right. And I would assume, David, that probably resonates. Again, people's BSO meter is stronger than we usually think.
Yep.
And that probably resonates with your clients. We are we're bumping up to our time here. I would love to invite you back, David. I think in fact we could probably spend another 45 minutes just talking about FSBOs, which seems your thing, right? So thank you so much for being with us here today. We had some great questions. There was some great feedback here in the comments that what you were saying was hitting home with people. And, and that's what we like to see. And we're grateful that you represent REDX well. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. If you'll hang tight with us, David, for a few more minutes, we'll talk after the show, go over a few things. Guys and gals who've joined us remote, thank you so much. We're glad that you take time out of your busy schedules to listen. We hope that we can always provide great value for you. So whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or right on our webpage, we like the engagement. We like to see you come with questions, and we like doing these podcasts. We do these every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Now, if you are not subscribed to the updates for these podcasts, you can go to theredx.com. You can click the podcast link in the header of our webpage, and you'll be able to subscribe to our email list simply to get updates for this campaign. You'll see you'll see past highlight reels and upcoming things, which is fantastic. Again, a huge thank you to David Frost, North Carolina, for taking time out of your busy day and being with us. I wish there was something I could do to say thank you other than just say it, but thank you so much for being with us here today. Guys and gals, we will see you again on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend.